Hey girls, it's Lauren here with another episode of the Simply Curly channel. So excited for today's video. It's another girl chat, chitty chat, batty batty. But before we get into that, don't forget to subscribe to the Simply Curly channel for weekly videos and like this video if you found it helpful. Let's get into it, girls. Hey y'all, so this is another chit chat, and I've just been like thinking about what have I gone through in my life that could be super helpful for people to add to my lifestyle portion of my channel. And if you don't know already from the title, I'm going to be talking about being an army wife specifically, but this could apply to just being a military spouse in general. It doesn't have to be for wives or husbands, spouses. So, I'm gonna talk a little bit about my experience. And since I talk about hair and stuff and skin on my channel, I'm gonna chit chat while I'm doing a twist out for tonight. So, let's get chatting. Okay, before I start doing my hair, I have some little notes to help guide me. Okay, so before I start twisting my hair, I just wanted to give you guys an overview of what I'll be talking about in this chit chat. Just to make sure you found yourself at the right video. So if you've gone to this or you got into this video, you're probably needing advice about being a spouse currently, or you're engaged and maybe not know what it's like to be a spouse, and you're just curious of what to expect, or you're like about to make a decision to be with someone or not, um, in hopes to becoming married, right? But not sure if this is something you want to commit to. So hopefully I'm helping those peeps out. If you've visited this channel for the first time, hey, what's up? And hopefully you subscribe because you love this content. But overall, I'm going to be going over pros and cons for me in general. I'll be hitting on like the resources that are available for military spouses, the pros that I experience for being a military spouse, the cons that I experience being a military spouse. Obviously, you guys know my channel is all positivity and all of that. So this is not a bashing on the army or anything like that. Again, this is my personal experience, all positivity here. So let's get chatting. Okay, y'all, so don't judge how my hair is looking right now. I've been doing a lot of protective styles and things like that. I actually was, if you follow me on Instagram, I was having fun in Vegas, and I decided to like do a wig in Vegas. So um, these twists are really old from under the wig, so I did want to redo the twist so I can have a twist out tomorrow. Yeah, and I am traveling out of the country this weekend. So I was waiting towards the end of the week, probably Thursday, to actually wash my hair. Otherwise, I would have washed it tonight because it is a little dirty, a little bit. But it's not that dirty where I can't keep it pushing through the week. So I'm just basically refreshing my hair to wear out tomorrow. So just a heads up, if you're like, ooh, girl, your hair is busted, what was going on? That was going on. And if you wanted to see my wig style, it was the same wig I actually wore for Halloween in my Get Ready With Me Halloween edition video, but I did repurpose it, okay, honey, and I wore it to Vegas, and it was really fun and cute, and I got a lot of compliments, so I might be throwing more wigs in rotation because I'm really late to the game, but super easy. Like, oh my god. The only thing, I don't know if you guys can see this, but the only thing that I didn't like on that wig is like wearing it long term. I don't know, there was a clip on the front that was like smushing on my head, so I have like a bump from it, and it was hurting. It doesn't hurt anymore. I was putting some vitamin C on it to see if it would help, but anyways, okay, so I will gear a lot of this talk towards my girls out there because I've been looking at my analytics. Pretty much all the people that watch my video are women, ages, I think it was like 24 to 37. Um, so you can hear me referencing being an army wife a lot in this video. But, if you are a male spouse, you can follow this advice too. It's not just for females, I don't think. I think you can apply it to your life also. Just a heads up there. So, number one pro, the resources. Um, Not sure. I would assume that the resources across all military branches are the same, if not similar, or the similar, if not the same. There are a lot of resources that I actually haven't even used yet, to be honest, um, and some that I have. And so I'd say, like, for me, I know they're going to come more in handy when my husband and I actually start a family. And I luckily was already pretty focused on my actual career, so I didn't need too much assistance with education or anything like that. Like, I already had my scholarships and things like that. But there are resources out there for you in regards to those things. So I made a list. I definitely wanted to Google it again, like just because I hadn't used like a lot of the resources. But I will put a link below just to help you guys, know where to locate it, especially if you are a current spouse. And maybe your husband is not that great in telling you information. So there is on every post or installation, there is the Military and Family Support Center. So this center gives spouses career employment opportunities, personal financial management, and activities for your children and family. So it's like a cool like office that you get workshops and resume help, and like it said, a financial planner. I did use this facility services when we lived in Colorado, and this was when I was a little bit in between jobs and having a little bit of a hard time. Colorado's job market sort of sucks a little bit. So it was a little bit hard to get a job, but I ended up not getting a job through those services. I got a job through like a staffing agency. So, but it did help with I went to a resume building class and things like that. Even though I knew, how to do a resume, I just figured that would be helpful. So I took, advantage of that. And so if you are, sometimes, you can get married pretty young and not have experience making a resume. And that might be helpful for you. And then they have activities for children and your families. So obviously, I haven't looked into that much. No need for it, but I am sure there is great stuff available. So definitely go to that resource if you are near post or on post. Next, so there's spouse education and career opportunities via the My SECO website. I don't know how to pronounce that, so I'm just spelling it out. MYSECO website. It provides education and career guidance to spouses worldwide. So obviously it doesn't matter where you are, you can get assistance there with jobs, even resume building online, things like that. So it's actually similar to the support center, the physical center, but it's like an online version of it, in my opinion, which is just another resource for you to navigate. Also, being a spouse, you have priority to like government sector civilian jobs, and they give you priority for just being a spouse. So if you go to like the jobs.gov website and you can find a civilian position, then you are allowed like priority being a spouse, which is pretty good perk, because you'll be moving a lot and all of that. So that's another good one. Obviously, I should have said this number one. This is obviously not in any order, but the healthcare is a nice perk because we all know, well, most of us know that, private health insurance is very expensive. And even when it's expensive, a lot of things are included and you have to pay a lot of out of pocket fees, when you have private insurance. Now, don't get it confused. TRICARE isn't technically free. Your soldier actually pays for TRICARE via their check. So it doesn't come out, like, they won't notice it because it just like comes out automatically. They will never see that money. But it is a payment that is made via the money that they make. So it's technically not free, but it feels free because it's money you've never factored in to your budgeting, if that makes sense. And I've experienced private sector healthcare providers and army or military healthcare providers. And the main difference is that because you move so much, it's less personal, especially if you go get health care on post in the hospital. It's very like factory worker, conveyor belt. Like that personal touch is not there so much because they're servicing so many people. Compared to if you were in the private sector, typically you're not moving that much, right? So you get to know your doctor. You don't have to re-explain things and all of that jazz. And they know you, they get to know you. So you lose that with TRICARE, I believe. Right now we are TRICARE remote, so I actually sort of get to not have to go on post for my health care. My primary care provider is down the street from my house that I'm living in now. It's a regular civilian facility that takes TRICARE because my husband's in Korea. So when that happens and we choose to take the separation, I'm deemed as remote, especially because I'm not near a post. Like the nearest post or base is Luke Air Force Base that is like 50 minutes away from where I live. So they calculate all that into whether you get services at a post or a base, or if you're in a remote area and you can pick whatever provider that takes TRICARE, which is nice. I like that. But overall, not having to pay extra for healthcare is definitely a pro. Like that is definitely something not to take for granted and all of that jazz. That is actually my top pro of being a military spouse. And I'm missing, there's a lot of other like cool little things that the military does provide, especially on posts. Like they'll have little mini movie theaters or bowling alleys, and like they'll have a lot of family events. Like if you're new to the area and you don't know you don't know anybody, whatever, like there's an event you can go to. I would probably say like every weekend or close to it, very frequently, where you can go. If you have a family, you can bring your kids and like meet people that way. So it's very like really great for bringing people together and like having things to do on post. So another pro when it comes to resources is BAH, basic allowance housing. So I wouldn't say like BAH is like bankroll like all this money that you get every month. It's not that much, to be honest, but it is a supplement that is nice to have, especially if you're having to move all over the place and not having to worry about that extra fee is really nice. So yes, I do like that supplemental income that we do get. In the grand scheme of things, and we'll talk about that later, like in the grand scheme of things, does all of this equate to other things? We'll get into that in a second. All right, so I touched on this a little bit earlier with talking about being on post and things like that. But the great thing about another pro for being a spouse is like even though it comes with like having hard times, there is a lot of community. I would say for me right now, there is not. Like I have a lot of military spouse friends that I can link with, talk to. They know what I'm going through. But in terms of like being remote and not near a post, and I don't have as much community. Being on post, like it's so easy. Everyone around you is in the same situation. Your husband's company will have events that you can go to meet other spouses. There's just so much built into post. Post is just like it's like a little city, you know what I mean? with everyone in the same boat as you. And so like it's a built-in community every time you have to move. And so I would say that's definitely a pro because of what you do have to go through as a spouse. And I didn't want to overlook that part because um, even though things can get hard being a spouse, like, there's always people around you that you can reach out to and all of that, and, have that real genuine support amongst one another. So I would say the last major pro is travel. So I actually had to get over like traveling a lot. Like I actually really love to travel, but actually not as much as frequently as we do. When I say travel, I'm meaning moving. The active duty spouse, I feel like it's a travel more, though obviously it's for work. In terms of the spouse, you travel when you're moving. So if you are someone that has never traveled the world or experienced any state outside of your own, that's another pro. It's like, and like depending on your spouse's job, in 3 to 4 years, you're going to be in another location. Typically, it's not the same state. And so that is something to definitely consider and expect when you are a spouse. Hey, like, do you deal with change? Well, if you don't, you might not want to be a spouse. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of change. But in regards to traveling specifically, there's a lot of that. Like you get to meet different people and all of these things. My husband was stationed in Alaska. Then we both moved together in Colorado. And then after that, we were in San Francisco. And now he is in Korea for a year. And I am here with family in Arizona for a year while he's there. So yeah, like we've gotten to travel and like, move together and all of these things a lot of times. So even though moving can be actually very stressful, there's a lot of light in it. We get to see new things. We get to have that fresh start a lot of times more than people typically do. So we're forced to get outside of our comfort zone. We aren't complacent, and I mean, I feel like you can only evolve if you are doing new things and not complacent. So our lifestyle sort of forces us out of that spot that people can get in their life, just staying in one spot. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, our lifestyle forces us not to do that. So I think that's a positive. So cons. All right, you guys. So I only have, to be honest, there's a lot of things that I just had to learn through my experience being a spouse. But I would say the main con of being a military spouse, or me, now everybody is different, but I don't know if you guys have heard about the 5 love languages. But my top love language is quality time. And so you can see my dilemma here, right? My husband is gone for a year in a different country. And so that is a lot for me, and just our relationship. But we're dealing with it well. Like it's not, this is our third deployment together. So, we're pretty used to this. Doesn't get easier though. I actually thought it would get easier, but it does not get easier, guys. So if you are a spouse that's watching this that is like, oh, okay, my first one, second one's coming up, it's gonna be easier. There's just like different challenges that come up for every deployment or separation. So I would say it's not even just the deployments that are hard hit specifically for me. Um, it is even like the training. So even when he's home, like he'll have a training here for a month, a training there for 2 weeks, a training here for a week. So it's not just like, oh, he's stateside, he's here all the time. No, he is also in trainings a lot. And I actually didn't know that. I actually don't have anyone in my family that has really stayed in the military enough for me to even know about the military that much. So when I met my husband, like I didn't even think about being a spouse or what it would be like. The only perception I've had of Army wives was the show Army Wives.
I don't have time for that now. All right, hold on. Here, what is this? It's an MRE, meal ready to eat. It's what your father lives on in Afghanistan.
Does anybody remember that show? Honestly, I feel like they should have like continued it. It would have probably been better than Grey's Anatomy at this point. But I'm just saying, where's the lie? Somebody tell me where I'm lying. Like by now, wouldn't have been better than Grey's Anatomy. But yeah, so it's just like a lot for me, like to be away, and so we're sort of mastered. I guess not, I shouldn't say mastered, but we've just definitely figured out what works for us. Like, just being intentional about when we talk to each other during deployments or separation and things like that. I would say you won't be able to handle a military spouse relationship if your relationship doesn't even have trust. Like, throw it away. Like, don't even try it. Don't even try it. Don't even try it. Trust me, it's not gonna work out because there's so much stress and like openness and like unknowns that if you don't even have trust in the person you're dating or about to marry, like, and they're in the military, good night. Like, that's not even gonna work. This deployment separation thing is a lot, and the biggest advice I'd give for anyone that's going through a deployment for the first time, for the spouse or even the soldier, it doesn't matter. Like, you guys are going to be on opposite time zones, so nighttime next day for them, nighttime morning time for them, it's not going to match up. You might be on your way to dinner with your friends and your soldier calls you. He might be at work and that was, you call him at the only time that you can. So the only suggestion I would have is like, don't be absent, is what I'm trying to say. Like, don't be tired, like, oh, like, bring that happiness, bring that joy, because when your soldier is calling you, imagine like what they're going through. Like, try to always have things to say, and it might be shocking for me to say that, like, oh, I'll always have things to say. After a while, like, you might not, but making sure that you always have things to talk about and be intentional about asking them how they are feeling, and don't ever say, oh, I don't want to talk, like, I'm too tired. I mean, unless it's something that's a fact, but like, don't do that too much, like, because you want to keep that spark alive. You want to keep that communication open. You want to make sure that your partners feel like they can count on you to be their sounding board and all of that. So if you're like me and your love language is quality time, keep it strong. Use FaceTime a lot. If you don't have an iPhone, what are you doing? No, I'm just kidding. Use WhatsApp, Google Duo, whatever, Marco Polo. Like, get creative, okay? And don't forget to send care packages, especially if it's your first deployment. Um, this separation, I haven't been sending Michael a lot of care packages. Sorry, babe. But it's just because he is on post with everything he needs. Like, he has a, what is it called? PX there. Like, he got movie theater there. Like, I don't even know what to buy him half the times because he can get his own snacks. But like when he was deployed, like in Kuwait or whatever, he was in a remote location, so he couldn't get any of that. So it's easier to like figure out things to buy and bring and send him. And take it back. Like with all this technology, you can always send snail mail, make it romantic or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like keep it fresh. I was reflecting on this for a long time, and I am grateful for the army. I mean, me and my husband have seen a lot of things, and because of the military, we've been able to meet a lot of people that are still friends to this day, and I'm sure will be friends of ours until we die. Honestly, um, so very grateful for that. I do think that we do get a lot of resources and things like that, but I've always thought like money, all of this stuff never really brings back the time missed with family. Like you can give me free health insurance, you can help me with my job, and sometimes it is hard. I'm like, at least they give us a lot of resources for something. But I'm sure a lot of spouses agree with this and say like it never brings back the time missed. And so these resources and pros and things, these are things that they should be doing. And I'm glad, I'm fortunate for it. Again, it's just a lot of times I do feel like, it is. It doesn't bring back, it makes those times easier, but it doesn't bring back that time. So make sure you're making the most of any time you're separated from your spouse. Don't get too busy from each other because you're never going to get that time back. Be creative. Make a wives group. I know there are a lot on Facebook where wives can get together, and especially in your own area. So definitely take advantage of those things. Spinning my con into a positive, it gives you opportunity to take care of yourself, whether that be work out more, take pottery classes, take art classes, join a book club, anything that will help you love yourself, help you find yourself, help you just elevate yourself, and find out who you are separate from your relationship. It definitely helps you not just be in your husband's shadow, and find out what you like to do and come back to your relationship when he's stateside, as a unit, and not you just like a section of him. You two are two people coming together with ideals and things you guys love as a unit together, instead of you just being behind him. Oh, whatever you want to do, that's fine. So that is turning my con into a positive there. But overall, it is still a con, okay? I would rather him be home, all right, you all? Okay, but it's okay. Thank you for your service, hubby. Let me finish twisting my hair. All right, now that that's over, also, if you guys wanted to know what products I use, very basic. I just wanted to hydrate my hair. Not completely sure if this twist out will look all the way awesome because I wasn't really caring about the sections. So, my trusty scarves will come in handy if the twist out doesn't come all the way out popping, but I'm sure it will. Anyways, I used the Cantu Shea Butter Leave-In Conditioning Cream and the Shea Moisture Red Palm Oil and Cocoa Butter Styling Gel with Flaxseed Oil. So that's what I used, and what was in my bottle was water. So, curls, I wanted to leave you with some parting advice. Woman to woman or military spouse to military spouse. I wrote this down, because I wanted to, after I typed it, I was like, ooh, girl, you really got that bomb advice. So I wanted to read my overall message. Military life in general, being a spouse, is not for the faint of heart. You cannot stress your husband out with minor things because he needs your support. And he or she And as a spouse, you're signing up to take care of the fort, take care of your home life, being that partner, so you won't stress out your other partner, because there are outside stressors that come from working for the military that you don't want to be that addition to the stress. You want to be the relief for the stress. So keep that in mind. If you're not really a person that takes charge, or it's a self starter, or if you feel like you need to be catered to every day, this kind of relationship might not be the one for you, or it honestly might end badly. Don't even do it if you have trust issues. Like, that's an absolute don't even do it. Like, honestly, throw it away. Create a support system for yourself as a spouse. Depend on your spouse for support, but don't solely depend on your spouse for support, because you are going to need to find your support and your strengths from other things, whether that is your relationship from God, your your faith-based family, your actual family, your military spouse friends. Um, create a community in which you can vent more to them or pray with them, so you're not always coming to problems with your spouse. My last thing would be, do not lose yourself in your husband's career. Your husband's doing his career because of for whatever reason, he loves the military. He really loves the job, whatever. That's his career choice. But just because you are tied up in that in terms of where you're living, who you're around, don't make that your identity. I feel as though if you do that, you won't end up being happy in your marriage. You need to be happy on your own. Even if it's not military marriage, like, you actually should never be in your spouse's shadow. You should always find joy in yourself. Your spouse does make you happy, but he or she should not be the sole source of your happiness. It's never going to last for you. You need to find happiness within yourself, with what you're doing in life and things of that nature. Because if you do, and let's say, like I was talking before, your husband or wife will go on deployment. If your happiness is solely your spouse, you're gonna be sad as heck. What are you gonna do? And then if they're in a true deployment and they can't talk to you, they can't have their cell phone in training, and you don't hear from them for weeks on end or whatever, what you gonna do? You're gonna be sad? Don't be, find happiness in yourself. Happiness in yourself. You have to find what you love and do that. Do that, sis. Don't don't worry about anything else. Take care of yourself, because if you're happy within yourself, you make others happy. So that's all the advice I have for that. I hope this overall was helpful. I hope you guys found some source of encouragement, especially if you found yourself in this video, and you maybe were down about a couple things, didn't know how to get through some stuff. If you're about to be married to someone in the military and you weren't sure what to expect, maybe you just don't have family in general as a support to give you advice about relationships, or maybe you just don't have someone in your family that's in the military. Oh, wait. If you made it to the end of this video, you know, you're in luck, because I have some life hacks for deployment. Number one, an OG Army wife told me this on my first deployment before my husband left. She said, "Oh, as women, we really love scents. So before he leaves, okay, this is going to sound crazy, but before he leaves, take a couple of used shirts, not dirty shirts, okay? Used, lightly used, where you get that deodorant, that cologne smell. Maybe he wore it to go to dinner and took it off, like that kind of use. Don't be using a gym t-shirt, like that's dirty. But take a lightly used shirt and put it in a Ziploc bag, the one that has like the zipper, not the pinch one. And you guys, like if you're ever missing your hubby, like you open up that bag and you smell him. Okay? That sounds crazy, but it works. I don't know if this is a common thing, but I personally always add the location in the weather app for wherever my husband's at. And this helps me keep in track with what time it is there, maybe what weather it is, and just like, it keeps me in the know of what's going on where he's at. And my last tip number 3, would be, we started doing this recently, but if you don't, I'm a big texter, but I like conversation. You don't want to like text all of that. So it keeps it funny and all of that when you sort of do it. What is that app called? Marco Polo style. My husband doesn't really like adding apps, so we could just do Marco Polo, but he doesn't want to do that. But it's still fun to just send videos of each other. So I will like at the end of my workday just put on the video and start chatting away, like what happened at work, what is on my mind right now, because I'm totally random with my thought process. So I just spit fire of little things, and I think that adds um, an aspect to long distance to where you're not just like reading words, but you're seeing someone's mannerisms, you're hearing the tone, and maybe you can't talk on the phone right now, but he knows he got that video and he can watch it then, he can watch it over again, and same for when he sends me videos. So don't just keep it in texting. I know a lot in this day and age, we text everything, but keep it fresh and send each other videos if you can't FaceTime right that second, because that is a possibility that you won't be able to talk on the phone all the time. But whenever he has service, he can pull up that video and watch it. And yeah, that's my last tip. So thanks for watching, curls. Peace and love.